and welcome to the Noscript Show, edition 005. Odin, how are you doing on this glorious day?
I am doing fantastically. I am doing Sheen-tastically, actually. Charlie Sheen-tastically.
Yeah, so this is obviously, I think our headline for the show is your Charlie Sheen waves, I think, maybe over the last week or so.
The thing is, I didn't need memes this week because I was a meme this week.
Yeah, and I have no memes because I put together the sick graphics package that this show now has. It looks professional, if not for the beard.
It is extremely professional.
All right, so given that we have absolutely no script, do you want to dive right into the Sheen stuff? Let's talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Who is Charlie Sheen to you, Odin?
Charlie Sheen is not just a man. He's an ideal. He's not just a genius, but a Sheenius. What has been Sheen cannot be unsheen. And the man is unstoppable. And in a moment of inspiration from him, some friends and I went on a little party spree, as you may or may not have noticed from my tweets earlier this week. And
so what I'd really need to know is, were you banging 7-gram rocks? Because
no, I can't bang 7-gram rocks. Only the machine can bang 7-gram rocks. Like that's beyond my capability.
Yeah, because we saw the tweets, and like the crazy thing is, out of context, they just look like the kind of tweets people would post normally anyway. So
that's my problem. That's one of the realizations I came off of this whole bender, is that you could go on the most insane bender of your life and people be okay with it. Not only okay, but they would encourage that behavior.
Yeah, it's all entertainment, right? I mean, Twitter is like other people's misery, so let them get absolutely smashed and go on these adventures. It's cool for the rest of us, right?
No, not really. I was poised for a really sweet possible position on my building's body corporate, and now literally nobody will speak to me except for 2 other people in the building. So,
oh, dude, but like purely from like the tweets and what I can only assume were like WhatsApps you don't remember sending.
Yes. Also, there are several friends of mine here in Pretoria who have yet to speak to me. I've reviewed some of the things I've sent to them. They may have been difficult to understand when you're in a normal mind frame.
But if you're in a Sheen mind frame, I think your knowledge expands.
They made perfect sense. They made perfect sense.
Cool. Dude, oh, wow. But it's like, people do this occasionally. It's like, maybe it's just because I'm in Cape Town or something, but like, to me, this seems almost normal behavior to just like once in a while, just find something new and just cut loose completely. Because you don't know how long your life is, so you may as well enjoy it while you can.
I think it's important that you have to like step outside of your own mind frame for once in a while. Like, just fucking let go, man. Step outside of your mind frame and just...
Yeah. I mean, there's the famous story of Steve Jobs. I mean, he went to India, like visited the temples, dropped acid, and then built $1 trillion company. So, you know... Yeah. As a role model, I fully support Steve Jobs in that assessment.
Except for his turtlenecks, man. I'm sorry. I know that's going to give me flack, but why the turtlenecks, man? You're not Archer. You're not Sterling Archer. You don't deserve the turtleneck. Okay.
But is it possible that Sterling Archer has turtlenecks because of Steve Jobs? Because of the...
Ooh, spicy proposition.
Yeah, because, I mean, who's to say where the idea came from? Turtlenecks aren't a thing in that universe until Archer brought them in. So maybe it was a Steve Jobs thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, speaking of... when did the last season of Archer come out? Like a couple months ago. I don't know if you've watched it yet.
Which was the last? Was it the Tiki Island Archer?
Yeah, it was the one with... like that French Polynesian like alternate universe thing, yeah.
Yeah, I did watch that. Yeah. What is it? as Krieger as the bird.
Yeah.
I love that.
So was it Lucky Yates? I think is the voice actor. And because I was kind of hoping that they'd bring Krieger back. He's like my favorite character there now. And then he's like, he's the bird.
Because the thing about Krieger is that he's like, he's contained insanity. He's insanity with a single scientific purpose. Like,
yeah. And then as a parrot, he's just like a cocaine hallucination. It's amazing.
Yeah. Which actually makes me wonder about the delineation between insanity and actual genius. Like, I know it's a popular trope, but like...
Or are you just trying to justify the bender you went on? Be like, no, this is the thing smart people do, is they...
Yes, this is a thing smart people do, okay? This is a thing smart people do. I will not apologize, except for, possibly maybe ruined a couple of gardens, whatever. We kind of uprooted a couple of plants. Invited some friends over. My friend at one point, my friend and I had because as some people may or may not know, I actually collect various weapons,
okay.
Swords and stuff, and we had a katana versus rapier fight.
Good one.
It's the first rock song we could find. At which point, the last few friends of ours decided it was a good time to vacate before they were witnesses to some sort of horrible accident. So yeah.
So sort of like a very lo-fi version of, was it like Iron Man 2 or 3, where he's like has that party, that bender at his house, and he goes out of control, and Brody comes in and takes one of his suits, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So in that scenario, are you Tony Stark or was the other guy?
I'd like to think of myself as a lovely tanned Tony Stark.
With your weapons of mass destruction and your good dress sense. Yeah, sure.
True story. I actually dress down for the show. I normally wear a nice little suit jacket, and that's
Yeah, and I'm wearing my consulting clothes right now. This is what I wear 24/7.
Well, if you want now, you can plug your consultancy services. So I doubt.
Dude, no, I've switched off that part of my brain for the weekend. It's all good.
Okay, cool. maybe you want to plug your book or whatever.
Oh, dude, weren't we supposed to be writing a book?
I'm still serious about writing that book. We just need to come up with like a mutual platform on which to write the book.
What was it was like horror stories from software development, or what was the title? I can't remember.
Alcohol and self-medicating in software development.
Oh, right. It was alcohol as self-medication and other tales from the software world.
Yeah. It would be an actual trip for me to see such a book as a recommended reading thing on like first year like computer science at some university or something. Like alcohol and self-medication.
Yeah, it's like here's all the things they don't teach you in this course. Number 1, alcohol, and it's like enduring role in producing software and managing like your emotional state when dealing with customers.
Well, number 2, no, the company doesn't give a shit about you. They're going to trade you out. Like, you know what I like to liken, and I've actually, let's maybe talk tech for a fraction of a second. Yeah. Or at least something tech related. And that is that, occasionally I get asked, do IT people I hate that huge umbrella because fuck it. I mean, it's like, do medical people or do whatever, but do IT people, and by IT people, I mean probably network specialists, software developers and all that, get paid too much? And my answer is a resounding no. If anything, they're underpaid.
Mm-hmm. And
here's my justification for it, right? You have, like, what is the actual value of the IT industry right now? Trillions, dude, easily.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you count Apple as a technology company, actually all the FAANG companies, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, it's collectively like, fun fact, the market cap of those 5 companies is greater than half of the entire market cap of, I think it's the NASDAQ. So
Holy crap.
yes, if you look at the chart, there's those 5 companies, and then like there's the bottom 50% in terms of market cap. I mean, like that's just how enormous they are. They're huge. Well, yeah, it was anyway something crazy like that. There was some stats. I'm sure someone will find a way to correct me on it, but it was just like one of those like numbers that make you stop and think.
So it's pretty. It's a fair chunk of the industry. So people ask me this, and so you have these in this industry that even during the financial crashes of recent years was still producing a fair amount of value, and the morally appropriate thing is to equitably, not equally, but equitably,
important words, yes,
compensate those who are who are running that industry, those who are, you know, producing that industry. And you know, the factory assembly line worker of the IT industry is your software developer. You know, and the thing about software specifically is as a product, it's not like a building or food. It's you produce something that doesn't decay and continues to add value to your life long after the person who produced it has walked away. So I think to myself, is it really, like the people say, you know, they have these examples of Mark Zuckerberg and all that. Mark Zuckerberg is 0.00001% of IT guys. The vast majority of software developers are actually probably underpaid by a good 20% of the value that they actually add relative to the product. And and so that's the thing. You have this business model where you produce this product and it delivers value consistently. Oh, and by the way, on top of that, you only have to pay your workers a tiny relative fraction of that cost of producing that product. What a great business model. You know, I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, no, it's and look, technology is interesting. So Facebook, as a company, directly employs, it's in the low hundreds, I think. But collectively, they create a platform on which billions upon billions of value is managed. And it's this weird kind of equilibrium because, like, if you built a shopping mall, right, and then whatever you put in to build a shopping mall, there's foot traffic and there's retailers and there's a certain amount of value created. But you need hundreds of people to build the mall, to maintain it constantly and all the rest. Facebook with software can reach billions of people, literally, you know, with... I think it's like 300, maybe 400 people that are like full time, and then they contract out a lot of stuff, and the moderation is outsourced and all the rest. But they create.
Explains some of the judgment calls on Facebook's moderation.
There's a blog.
I'm sorry if Sergey out in Siberia has to judge the context of my English language posts. You know, like.
You are still sour about your Twitter ban, aren't you?
Yes, I'm still salty. I'm still very damn salty. Okay. If you took the salt flats of Utah and you harvested all that salt, then you added all the salt of angry people playing Overwatch online, it would be a fraction of the salt that I felt about that ban. Yes, I'm mad. If you could take my anger and bottle it and harness it into an energy source, it would power all the industrialized cities of man for the next million years. So yeah, I'm kind of mad. I'm kind of salty.
Would you like to be even saltier? Can I frame this in a way that'll make you even more upset?
Sure, why not?
Whoever did that was probably earning like $2 or $3 an hour. And it's like, this is one of those things where it's like that volume of work is pushed to like the lowest paid people. It's like Amazon Mechanical Turk. You know, your decision probably took less than 30 seconds, and whoever did it earned a couple of cents for it, ultimately, to take you offline for like, well, how long was it? A couple of days?
Yeah.
Madness. Absolute madness, isn't it? Technology scale is a wonderful thing until it bites you in the ass, huh?
Yeah. Get me in the proverbial digital ass, but I'm okay with that. You know what? One day when I finally have my long dreamed of whiskey sponsorship, I'll be over it. Like I'll be over it. permanently.
Yeah, see, and this is why alcohol is a key ingredient in managing technology. You can't do it without just every now and then getting hammered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that is an actual tech topic. I mean, so your week has been magnificent, like sort of Charlie Sheen, Rolling Stones, David Bowie magnificent. Mine's been less so. It's seasonal flu here in the Western Cape, and everyone caught it at the same time. So it's been...
That sucks.
Yeah. Let's just say it was suboptimal, right? And as part of that, I also just didn't read any news or anything. So I've had like one of the most uninformed weeks in recent memory, and I can't tell you how happy I am. My ongoing experiment of not following people on Twitter, I now open the app less than once a day, and I'm a happier person as a result of it.
My week was uninformed, but not for the same reasons.
It's because you got absolutely, was it Slizzard? I think there was some dumb song getting Slizzard. I think that was you.
That's like a G6 by
Yes.
the Cataracts and Dev. But yeah, I did get absolutely slizzard. I did not, you racists who are asking, drink any purple drink with syrup in it. Racists.
It's sugar, water, and purple, right?
It's not that I would know because I'm black, but technically,
right?
Technically, if you want to make scissor, what you need is purple cough mixture, Sprite, and a little bit more cough mixture, preferably with codeine in it. Not that I would know.
Okay.
And if you want to double cup it, add some ice cube.
Right. So, is this the cooking portion of the show where we give out recipes?
I would like to state that for anyone watching this, I do not endorse any sort of illicit drug use.
Of course not. You must be a role model to the children at all times. It is crucial that this internet show.
If I wanted to be a role model to the children, I'd like burn a couch and then make a tearful apology video like some YouTube star or something. So,
Oh, dude. Oh, speaking of that, and this is semi-tech related. Apparently, and this is quite funny to me. It's sad for them. Over the last couple of years, YouTube they've put resources behind their creators to try and help them grow their channels because they want to grow ad revenue. That's the whole point. But apparently there's like a creator burnout syndrome. Like a lot of these people are just falling off the radar completely because the pressure is too much.
I can see how that could happen.
Yeah, and it's like, to me, it's interesting because like just the big picture stuff, right? And this is where it's like over the last 10 years, just marketing has been burnt into my brain. YouTube is a very odd fish when it comes to like doing advertising next to content. The reason they love TV shows is that advertisers have some kind of say on the stuff that goes live. Even if it's not like censorship, it's just like, this content is maybe not appropriate for our brand and they can kind of work around that. YouTube is like ISIS decapitation videos with Colgate ads. It's a very weird fish.
Well, you wouldn't want cavities as
Dude, you are a cavity. That's the whole thing. Maybe that's how it matches.
Look, Abdul and crew may be militant, religiously militant people, but they deserve better than to see your mouth full of cavities when they sever your head. Come on, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, there was it Louis C.K. had like this bit about ISIS, then he reckons that ISIS must hate bald people because after you decapitate them, you can't grab them by the hair and hold their head up.
Yes.
It's like you have to hold it like a bowling ball, right? That's all you can do. Which, like, is it just me or has ISIS kind of vanished from like the media landscape? I mean, they must still exist.
Well, militarily, they've kind of been bombed out of fucking existence for the most part. I mean, the fact that they've retaken places like Raqqa.
Not really newsworthy. Like, there's no one really care.
Oh, by the way, we kicked ISIS out. Oh, that's not newsworthy. But while we're on the subject of ISIS, I just want to bring something up here. Okay. Do you remember when it was like Osama bin Laden fever?
Actually, I remember the live broadcast. Like everyone in the country stopped, and it's like CNN, like breaking news. Like, hold on, and then it's like, we got him, and like everyone just fucking erupted. I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember when he was at the peak of his power? Like how much hype the news like put into it?
Oh yeah, no, like that as well. Like he was like public enemy number one. Like every other day, terror alert, Osama bin Laden. No, I remember.
Yeah, and they had this like fucking what was it? I'm trying to find the image, but they had this image of what they suspect his mountain hideout looks like. Okay.
Oh my god.
Mountain hideout. It was like some mountain hideout with like horses and shit, and it was okay. Basically, like CNN's artist impression of the Osama bin Laden hideout, right? It's like we suspect that they're hiding in some form of some mountain range here. They have at least this many horses and this special air vents to protect them from chemical attacks, back exits, vehicle ports, all the shit. And at the time, at the top of Osama bin Laden's power, as we say, he was like CNN had us believe, and let's not pick on CNN. They've had enough shots today this week. Okay, news agencies in general had us believing that Osama bin Laden was like the real life version of Cobra fucking Commando from G.I. Joe. He was like the villain with the fucking skull mountain volcano hideout. Okay, and I don't know if you remember this, but guess where they found him? In a fucking house in Pakistan. And people and neighborhood people knew about it. He used to toss over the cricket ball when it went over the wall when the neighborhood kids were playing. So I'm sorry, they had us believing that he was Cobra fucking Commander. Meanwhile, ISIS, the news had us just believing that they were some random band of ragtag motherfuckers. Meanwhile, they had taken over entire regions of the map, like significant sections of planet Earth, sections that even Osama at the top of his top power never had control of. They had total military control. They had their own schools, banking systems, all that. Currencies, they had that there while they were in control of that area. So, I'm sorry, fuck Osama. ISIS was fucking Cobra Commander, okay? They had villain land going. It didn't last long, but they had fucking villain land going. And my last comment on this is I would have loved to be one of the air crew that got to drop that Moab just because I love bombs so much. And it's just like I would have had such a weapons boner as that thing was dropping. I was the hugest weapons boner. Just
all right. So we've now covered ISIS and dropping bombs. So I'd like to welcome David from Mossad. Thanks for checking in on the show. No,
thanks, David.
But like I think there was a story that circulated somewhere that at one point ISIS took over, and then they also took over local businesses. And so it was literally a case of like the shops, the restaurants, and I know this one directly, KFC, stayed open and traded, and everything was fine. And ISIS just took as much money as they could out of those businesses. And it's like
real life caliphate, they had their shit going. They were Cobra Commander for real. Like
and then it's like part of me thinks that maybe the reason they weren't shown in that light is that America really wants people to believe that the military intervention is working. Like if they actually explain to them that it's not, like we're dumping all this money in, it's getting spent on things that we're just destroying a few years later, it's going missing. Like if they actually properly assessed it, they'd realize, actually, you know what? Maybe this is not the right way to do this. But of course, no one will admit to that. So, here we sit.
Well, I mean, when military intervention has to work, otherwise how else are you going to explain spending, what was it, $100,000 on a coffee cup by the Air Force? Like, pretty sure that didn't go to a coffee cup, fam. Pretty sure that didn't go to a coffee cup.
Oh my god, yeah, it's like, I mean, okay, but if it is like an anti-gravity coffee cup that can keep coffee while you're upside down in like a F-16 at altitude, then that is a badass coffee cup. Do we know what type of coffee cup?
That's my thing. Then I'm totally okay with it.
Oh yeah.
The libertarian in me is like, maybe we shouldn't be sort of interventioning and bombing and all that. And then the guy that loves cool super science and weapons in me is like, oh fuck yeah, let's spend on that.
Yeah, that's like, there's a video floating around of a fictitious weapons demonstration by a manufacturer that designed drone carriers and then drones and then these little mini drones with explosives in them that are designed to seek people out, attach to their heads and blow their heads off. Like, you know, proper sci-fi scary shit. And I watched that and it's like also both sides of me are like, on the one hand, that is absolutely horrific, the fact that you can just deploy this and like target people across like a whole city. But also that is an amazing problem to solve with real-time image recognition and mapping that to drone flight. It is actually a complicated problem.
I've been sent that image, that video so many times because people are like, every time people are like, see, Odin, this is what you're doing. You're building Skynet. You've doomed us all. You've doomed us all. And I'm like, I'm so tired. And it's like, and FYI, the same people who send me these doom and gloom things, despite how incredibly fake they are the same people who will ask me a week later, so when are sex robots going to be more available? So
it's basically the pornography rule. Like, if you can stick your dick in it, they fund it more. Like, that seems to be how it works.
It's as much as the prudes out there hate to admit it, there is something insanely profitable in any technology that can be applied to human sexuality.
Yep. So actually, yeah, and I want to just, like, again, this is kind of tech, so I want to spend like 2 minutes on this and just explain, because the way the media reports it, whenever they report sex robots, they always put a photo of some janky-ass motherfucking looking, like, half, clearly a machine, face half cut off. That's not what's going to hit the market. What's going to hit the market in like 20 years or so is going to be robots that look, feel, sound, and seem extremely human, including, and this is going to fucking happen, and I'm calling it now, Hollywood agencies are going to license out the likenesses of some of their people to produce bots that look like Channing Tatum or whatever, you know, and then that's what you buy. Or if you can't afford one, like most people won't, that's what you'll get at the brothel that you go to. Will be a robot that is a life fucking like representation of somebody that you cannot really tell the difference, especially if you've got a drink or two in you.
There's a lot of. I saw some YouTube video or something a while ago, the sex dolls and stuff like, and this is kind of sad but kind of sweet at the same time. A lot of guys end up having sex doll replicas of like their ex-wives or their dead spouses or something like. They, you know, are like,
yep,
kind of creepy but also kind of sad and sweet, you know, like.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if you want like to know what sex robot technology will look like when it reaches apex, that's Black Mirror season 1, episode Be Right Back. It's that. That's what you're going to get in 20 years. It's not we're not talking pistons and pumps, we're talking that. And
if I'm being honest, I can't say if it were up to me, like I wouldn't be immune to, you know, wanting a robot of the one that got away for me, you know.
Yeah.
Like I would not be immune to wanting a robot of her.
So,
because psychologically, it's your way of fixing that thing that went wrong.
Yeah, and like that's the market it opens up, right? I mean, so it's this thing of, you know, it sounds creepy and wrong, and like today, it's like you would think of that in terms of sticking your dick in a blender or whatever, but that's not where we're going. People are not going to settle for that technology-wise. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the morality argument is going to be interesting in 20 years. Like, as a person, do you own your likeness? You know, can they resurrect Michael Jackson's likeness, for instance, and license that out again? And what does that mean for emotional attachment? It's like this whole new field of issues.
I mean, like I said, this goes back to the thing. Like, it's like, on the one hand, I see why you would want it. We all have that one that got away that it's difficult to move on from. And if you could have an android or robot that's pretty much them in every way thing, I guess that's a coping mechanism. But on the other hand, is it a good mechanism? Is, you know, like, because you never really move on then. And also in terms of like celebrities and stuff like that, I question the impact that such a technology would have on our population dynamics.
It's and this is like
civilizations that discover pleasure, as you mentioned the thing. This is some aspect of that.
Yeah, but I think, you know what? I'm more in favor of this, because I believe that if you want to actually procreate and raise a family, it's not like we're not talking broken condom kids, or you do it because you think you should. You should do it because you really want to. This is an investment in the future generation. So if you just want to get your rocks off, and there's other ways to do it which are just as good, if not better, than another human being, why not? So no, but it's because for me, the interesting thing is really that we've already shown a willingness to accept this, right? Because cybersex is a thing and has been for as long as the internet's been around. Texting and the video chats and everything else, that sort of disconnection from a real human being but still completing the act, that is built in. We've got that. Everyone who gets internet access at some point tries this. It's not like this is aliens landing. This is in us. This is what human beings are like. So anyone who's like, no, sex bots are immoral, no, dude, they're going to come anyway. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop it, dude.
It's sort of, in another way, and I guess this is probably the most we've talked tech on the show, is it's sort of like I tweeted something out about life extension technology, where, because I was watching another Isaac Arthur video, and basically the premise is all medicine is basically a form of life extension technology. So the argument against life extension, that it is immoral and unnatural, is it's insufficient to me.
Yeah,
it is truly insufficient, and it is maybe well-intentioned, but just flat out wrong. There's a CGP Grey video about this called The Dragon, where he basically tells a story about this dragon that sat on top of a town's mountain, and every day it needed to eat one human, and this was the way life was for centuries. They even created a dragon feeding department where people would, and then he started to need to eat more people, and they created even a dragon feeding department. And this went on for centuries. People would be rounded up and sent off, and this became normal in their psyches. And then they reached a point technologically whereby they could create a weapon that could pierce the dragon's skin and kill it. And they had this whole townspeople's meeting, and it took a child saying, it took the adults and the people who are used to it were like, no, the dragon is a normal and necessary part of life, blah, blah, blah. It's the way it's gone on forever. And it took a little child saying, the dragon ate my grandma. The dragon did this, the dragon, and then, it's this I'm Spartacus moment. And then they decide, screw it, let's take out the dragon. And at the end of the video, he basically says, this whole story has been an analogy for death and life extension technology, where we're so used to the idea that this is natural, this is okay to do this. I'm like, no, 150 years ago, certain bacterial infections were totally normal and natural part of life. I fail to see how, if we can prevent it, how it's immoral and unnatural. And there's also the boredom argument. But again, like Isaac Arthur says, I'd rather be bored at 150 and healthy than dying of Parkinson's at 70 years old. It's ridiculous, guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's also like what I think is really interesting, and you can look this up right now. The information is there. You can just Google for this. Today, everyone in the Western world, and actually most of the world, we have this concept in our homes of the lounge, the living room. And the reason, and the living room is not a thing that's been in human culture for a very long time. Living rooms were essentially invented by fashion magazines. Before living rooms, there were death parlors in homes. This is a thing all across America, like 1800s, you can look this up. When somebody in the family passed away, the body would, like a wake, like a proper wake, the body would be put in a room and kept there for a while for the whole family to kind of make peace with it before they moved on. And then we changed that. We decided, no, fuck this is weird. So we changed it. And we can change these fundamental things whenever we want. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, these arguments of, in fact, you know what, just to be fair, those of you who do not want this technology, fine. Die off. Be like that. I'm going to live to 500 and go to fucking Saturn. I'm sorry. If you don't want the technology, fine. I do.
Yeah. It's almost like a technological version of natural selection, right? Because all the people that would not want that inside them die off. That's how it works. And all the people that do live forever.
Yeah.
So what that also means is that the morality argument is pointless, because assuming it happens, eventually there will only be people who are okay with it, and then they'll change what the rules are, because now it's okay to be immortal. So why worry?
I mean, there may be a small sect of people who are not okay with it, and obviously they continue to live because they just reproduce at replacement rates. But that section of people, let's say that section of people is currently Earth's total population of 7 billion. Let's assume humanity's population continues to grow as we explore out. Then that 7 billion is nothing compared to an empire of 70 trillion. You know, they'd be so insignificant in the grand scheme of things that it's like, okay, fine. If you guys still want to live like that, you'll be weirdos to the rest of us, but you know.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think at this point we should go to our sponsor.
And now, a message from our sponsor.
So today's show is sponsored by Charlie Sheen. I think that was our headline topic. And is there anything about Charlie Sheen you would like to promote?
Well, I'd just like to show you the brilliance that is Charlie Sheen for a second, quick, because I'd like to share his absolute brilliance with all of you. You know, I was bagging $7,000 because that's how I roll.
Yeah, dude, those eyes, they are staring into our soul collectively.
Those are the eyes of sheer brilliance shining back at you. That's it.
All right, and that is today's sponsor. We are done with this segment. Oh man. Okay, and just it occurred to me, it's really funny. The most we've ever talked tech on the show, it is about sex technology. So even there, like the fact that sex is involved has driven the concept of spending time on this. Human beings are weird. We are weird creatures. We really are. All right.
But we're surprisingly resilient creatures.
Yep.
In many ways.
So
we're not hard to kill, but we're resilient.
So at this point, I should apologize to our viewers because this is our first run with the new graphics tech, and I think we just lost Odin's camera.
Did we just lose my camera?
We did. So you see, we're figuring this out in real time as we go. And I think while he gets that back, we can keep it on audio. Oh, another thing that I want to bring into the show, which I think will be very, very fun, is ad breaks. So like every 20 minutes, just run like a 30-second ad slot. And before I did this, I had a channel on Twitch and I streamed for like a month. I did a stream like every single day.
Right.
And
you know what's really weird is that I can actually see my video feed. I know you can't see it, but I can.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, but you're back up now. So whatever you do,
cool.
don't change anything.
Okay.
So I had a channel, and then what I did, because I would play for like an hour and a half usually, is I'd break it up halfway through to refill my drink or whatever. And so I cut together a bunch of public domain advertisements and had like an ad section where I would just kind of fade to that, do whatever, come back, and there were ads. So I really want to have like an ad break in the Noscript Show with some like absolutely absurd content. And the public domain stuff was pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Public ad breaks.
Yeah, so I mean, and here's something potentially useful that I can impart. I think so. A lot of people engaged in let's call them the culture wars on Twitter. There's like a set of tools that are extremely useful, like archive.is and archive.org, for finding independent copies of what people posted online a while ago. Because if you delete something, it's not actually gone. There's other copies of it. Archive.org has been around for like decades now. They have an enormous library of stuff, not just websites, but they also have audio recordings, movies, old games. Like literally, if it's on the internet and it's public domain, they've got a copy of it. So I'm also.
I can't wait to see old recordings of myself casting as Vagina Slayer XXX at hotmail.com.
Oh my god! You see, do it. I think everyone starts with a name like that, right? Like there's just like, I'm never gonna grow old.
Or something like super grim dark, like blood tears scythe 89. Or it's just something weird like that. Like,
but here's actually, oh my god, many years ago, one of my colleagues, he was about to have his first daughter. And he asked me, it's like, do you think it's a good idea to reserve a domain name and a bunch of social media accounts for her for when she grows up? And I'm like, haha. And then I'm like, no, wait a second. That's actually not a bad idea to actually get that name. Yeah.
That might be the trust funds of the future.
Like it's like a sort of prenatal marketing strategy. We're going to make sure that you have like an Instagram username that's premium.
Like it'd be great because then we get like it could be like a whole package thing, right? Like, hey, we take care of your wife after giving birth, and also we pre-reserve these.
So there's two interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff here because first off, and again, like referring back to that Black Mirror episode, Be Right Back. If you haven't seen it, it's been out for like 3 years now. I'm not spoiling shit, so I'm going to tell you about it. It's this girl who loses her boyfriend in a car crash, and her boyfriend is like constantly on social media, like constantly posting stuff, whatever. So she dies, and then a friend of her tells her about this service that can help her get over the grief. And what the service does is it scans somebody's entire social media feed and creates a chatbot trained to kind of talk like them. That technology already exists today. You can do that. So that's not even futuristic. So this lady signs up for the chatbot, and she starts having like text conversations with just this disembodied voice. Then they take it a step further, and she uploads a whole bunch of voice samples, and it trains a voice generator, and now the thing can talk to her, and she can get on the phone and talk to this disembodied personality. That technology also exists. It's called Lyrebird, Lyre bird. You can look that up. Then they take it to the extreme where they're like, okay, there's like an experimental package where you can get a robot that looks like me, and then it'll download the personality and it'll be, like I'm there. And that's like the whole taking it too far thing where the whole thing kind of starts crumbling. But there's enough data of dead people floating around that people don't really die. And it's like because their memory is kept alive constantly. Like just the other day, somebody linked me a thing. There's this thing 414 Action or Action 414 or something, some political lobby group. Headline on the tweet, it's like, we need more Stephen Hawkings and less some football player. And I'm like, do you mean we need more dead people? Because Stephen Hawking died. That actually happened. But he may well has not have died because there's like memes with him and he's like referenced constantly. And for like the next 200 years, it's like, it doesn't matter if you die or not, your image lives on forever. So there's this other kind of, if you're unsettled on the immortality argument, just imagine what people will do with your content on social after you die, and then you'll want to stay alive. So just think about the practical implications of that.
Again, I question what technology like this means for, as you say, breakups and deaths. It's...
Yeah, because nothing ends anymore. Information does not end. And this is a thing which is brand new in human history. For example, there was the Library of Alexandria. It was the largest library of its type in Egypt in the world. It was burnt down, and that shit was permanently lost. Today, you can nuke North America, and Gmail will not go down. So we have this thing where we've built a machine that can remember stuff forever and gets better at indexing and understanding it every year. This
need a hell of a lot of nukes to nuke all of North America. Not that we would, Brad, our beloved.
You do need a lot of nukes. And even then, like even in like a cataclysmic scenario, the services would stay up. First of all, it's not even like they would go down. They'll just be like, hot failover to other data centers. But the information can't be erased. There's just too many copies of it. So we're living in this weird global village in which there is a scribe which dutifully records every single fucking thing you post forever. And there is no stopping this.
Now imagine we live in an empire with an interplanetary intranet. You could nuke the entire... You could gamma ray burst an entire planet. Doesn't matter. Still going to keep going.
Yeah. And then when it comes to the human relations side, it's like, the whole concept of Facebook stalking your ex. That's brand fucking new. Before Facebook, if you broke up, you would only know about that through friends or bumping into each other. Now, you can browse their stuff and keep that image in your head as if they are still alive. And this is like a thing which we don't know what this is going to do to civilization yet.
It's an OCP, basically. It's an outside context problem. It is a type of problem or advent that it is so alien that nothing in our previous experience and nothing in our imagination could equip us to deal with it. I.e., the internet is an OCP. It's the advent of the internet. It's as a concept, it was something so out there. None of our previous experience, none of our planning, none of our thinking could have prepared people for that.
Yep.
And that's basically what it is.
Yeah, and that's where we are. I mean, like just this morning, I was having breakfast at a place, and these two old ladies sat down at the next table and took a photo to post to Facebook. And I was they were right there, so I was forced to overhear them, right? That's how restaurants work. And it was clear from the way they were talking about it. They were like, oh, I want to send this to Betty. And then she uploaded it to her public Facebook feed, meaning that the whole planet and David and Betty can now potentially see that photo. So,
and Brad.
So now it's like people are using this technology, and because no one teaches them, when you take a photo, it goes like literally around the world and then back. They just see it as like a replacement for what they were doing before, like sharing photo albums. So no one explains to them, no, that photo is recorded forever. It's like intercepted on 6 different servers. You can never delete that photo ever. There's always going to be a copy of that.
Again, the internet is for even, and that doesn't just apply on like Facebook. People who like send you like sects, you know the whole send nudes meme, all that shit.
Send Bob's and Virgin, I think is
send Bob's Virgin and all that shit. That shit, again, guys, you can delete that. You can delete any sexy picture you've taken of yourself or partners ever sent you on your phone. I guarantee you, it's still retrievable.
Yep.
As long as it's on as long as it's gone over a network, that shit is still retrievable.
Yeah.
Done and dusted.
Yeah. So not that I want to acknowledge the content, but I do want to point out that I'm aware of its existence, the Malusi Gigaba sex tape. So that's a thing. Okay, so I'm not going to dishonor you by asking you if you've seen it or not. I don't even want to know. All I want to point out is that his defense is that his phone was hacked. It's entirely reasonable that somebody might have, through one of these exploits, gotten onto his phone. And it's just a reminder that just because you think it's private doesn't mean it's private. So one example, and again, you can look this up, all the stuff that Edwin Snowden leaked. And I think it's really funny that Edwin Snowden blew up, and it's like all the sort of the internet and all the surveillance is like on a precipice, like there's major change, and then nothing. Like he just vanished into Russia, and now it's like, oh yeah, cool, we're carrying on. But in there, he revealed that the US has perimeter firewalls which intercept all traffic in and out of the country itself. So if you're using WhatsApp and that server is sitting somewhere in the US, you're transiting that border twice, meaning that every single message is intercepted. It's in encrypted form, but that doesn't mean anything because encryption keeps evolving, and they can break older encryption easier and easier as time goes on. So it's like,
I think a lot of people also feel like if it's on Telegram, it's better encrypted. I'm like, no. That shit's your titties are sitting on an NSA hard drive somewhere. Sorry to break it to you, ladies.
Yeah.
Even if your boyfriend genuinely deleted that shit, your titties are sitting on an NSA server somewhere.
Yeah. I am all for the movement of people showing each other that shit in person like they used to be, because that is the most secure way to do it. And also it's the way that's the most natural and healthy. But, anyway, like here's where we are now. So what was, in terms of encrypted apps, and this is the last bit of tech that I think I can contribute, Signal is actually pretty good. Signal's encryption. That is one you can trust. That's like paranoid level. And no encryption system lasts forever. There's like a constant cat and mouse game where people will flood to a service, and then the moment there's a reason to try and compromise it, government agencies will try and compromise it.
Exactly.
So right now, Signal is your best option if you actually want to send private messages. They can self-destruct and all the rest, but don't use that forever. Like in 5 years, there'll be something else. And just for the love of God, update your Facebook privacy settings, please. Just everyone, just do it. Just do it.
Well, the holy grail actually of encryption or decryption has got to be obviously seriously viable quantum computing. because because our encryption is based on large number theory right now. Once you have quantum computing really down, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you have a 5 million bit key. That computer is going to figure it out.
Yep.
Because that's the thing about quantum computing. It's very good at searching impossibly large number spaces. So
yeah, and we're approaching that, aren't we? I mean, like, it's D-Wave?
yeah, like even like 5. I don't know how many quantum qubits the biggest quantum computing prototype is now, but like it's not far away from something like 512-bit AES encryption. Quantum computing can break that, no problem. Just like that.
Yeah, and that's again, like, all this stuff seems like, oh, this applies to people far away. This is so far outside the realm of me taking a photo of my privates and sending it to my hockey group instead of my husband. Like that. Yes.
Okay, can we bring that up? It's like a 5-minute meme review. Although I don't know how many pictures of that we can post without.
It was Margaret van Wyk, and it was like 2 years ago. And the memes, oh my god, the memes that were circulating were amazing. And it's like, so anyway, just the tech part, when they figure out how to crack this shit, even if it's 5 years from now, the moment anyone can do it, this is the internet, everything is connected. So I think that Odin is looking up some...
I've literally Googled this, and there is nothing on her name that I can screen share that wouldn't get demonetized in a fraction of a second. Oh no, wait! I found something. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, that seems okay. So
let's not ruin the show.
Should we explain? It's a steak picture. It's a picture of steak.
Okay.
I don't know if we can like explain this to everyone else, like the concept of it.
No, okay, no. I'll take a shot at it. So Margaret van Wyk is just like this, typical married for so many years soccer mom. Has like her neighbors on WhatsApp and has the group, because her kid plays hockey and all the parents have like a hockey group where they would coordinate matches. And then just one morning after her husband left for work, she took a photo of her privates and meant to send it to husband and apparently typed in something else. And that photo went to the hockey group and everyone saw it. And before she could delete it, because there was no deletion there, before she could do anything about it, they just started forwarding that shit. And like for like a week, that was all that what people were talking about was this woman's photo. Which, and I have to be completely honest, I haven't even seen the source photo. I don't want to see the source photo. I just know this happened.
Unfortunately, I have seen the source. Okay. Most of the memes, though, are in Afrikaans, which will take some explaining to.
Let's do it. I'm all down for. It's like let's do the multiculturalism thing. We'll try and decode the Afrikaans ones. Okay, hit us.
Okay, let's do this. This is going to be fun. Okay. So again, apologies to those of you who have sensitive sensibilities, but okay.
Then if you're that sensitive, you really shouldn't be watching this show. I can recommend some YouTube channels where they don't say any swear words. All right.
You should be on a good Christian Minecraft server. You're that fucking sensitive.
Dude, I miss Vine so badly. Vine was king.
I miss Vine. And I also miss, 16 to 20-year-olds making more money in a year than I ever will in my life. That was so great.
All right.
And also I miss having to Google the age of the girls in Vine before the FBI showed up. She's kind of hot. Like, how old is so-and-so from Vine? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Shit. Not that I would, Brad, my NSA angel. I would never do anything like that.
Yep. All right, so you're going to share your screen out to me and do some of these.
Cool. So this is the first thing. Hi.
Oh my god, that was actually the message. She asked her husband, "Have you left work yet? Have you driven already?" And it's like,
oh my god, that's the closest facsimile I could come up with that would not totally get me nuked off the internet.
But also, I'm just like the sequence of events. Like you want to ask someone, "Have you left work yet?" And then obviously the next thing you do is you take your phone and no, dude, no, that is wild. And I've got to say that's a very juicy looking piece of steak, just in general. Eh?
I know. I could never look at that ribeye ever again. The next one is welcome to Margaret on Parabéns. I don't know if that's the actual town that she lives in.
You know what? No, it's not. Schweizer Reneke is, but there is a town Paradise, but it's not that one. Yeah. So, oh my god.
So the Afrikaans translation is "Welcome to Paradise," where Margaret shows her lady bits, but it rhymes in Afrikaans.
No, I'm just trying to think. No, it's like welcome to Virginia, where Margaret shows her vagina, like that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. that's pretty amazing.
Fantastic. It's so good. It's so good. Okay. And then who else? Hugh Hefner, the legend.
Of course.
That's just the best.
Send me your portfolio. I like your work.
This is my last one. Is last two. It's the awkward seal.
Yeah.
Sorry, allemaal. Chris. Gymnastics lady.
Stamp my Margaret. Yeah. So what happens when you slam your Margaret into the beam. Ouch.
Yeah, it's I don't know how else to like. Wow, it's great. It's so great.
Yeah, no, that is. It was the most entertaining week, I think, in local social media. You know what? There's a couple others. I'll dig back through my WhatsApp history and find them. We can bring it back in like a month. But anyway, like that's the public service announcement part of our show. Just check your fucking privacy settings. And
and by that I don't mean all of you have to hack your shit or if your shit's been hacked, because believe me, I will not tell you the truthful answer. But I guess I don't. Should we plug our Twitter accounts or? Because that's about all the meme review we got for now.
Yeah, so at the end of the show, there's the title card which has all of our Twitter accounts, and you can give us a follow there. So that's the plug.
Yeah.
And I think this is officially the most tech we've spoken to date on a single show. That is quite scary. We'll definitely try not to talk about technology on the next one.
We're very sorry, guys. We're better than this, and we know that you expect better of us, all three of you.
And we love each and every one of you. So yes, thank you.
Unless, of course, you are under the age of 18.
Or under the age of consent in whichever state you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to be clear. But yeah, and we will eventually write that book, amongst others, eventually. We promise, guys.
Yeah. I suspect after a year of doing freelance work, I'll have even more stuff to say than I had before. So, no, cool. Yeah, we're actually coming up on our scheduled time. We did pretty well. Yep. So also scheduling, we're going to try and get these out every day at 7 to 8 p.m. South African time on YouTube, but we're probably still going to fiddle with that in the next couple of months. We want to make sure that there's no significant overlap for people that are forced to choose between shows, because we know our show is way better than anyone else on at this time.
I mean, really, yeah, like fuck those other guys. Like, honestly, bro, I would fight any South African YouTuber podcaster. Yeah, that's right, bro. Take me, fight me. This is my challenge to all of you. I will fight you in the damn boxing ring. Bring it.
Yeah, that might end up being episode 100. So you said that now. Like after like 2 years of doing this, we're gonna do that. We'll find a ring. We'll put 4 cameras on, live stream all perspectives, and just go, and then do your shit.
Can you imagine that? Like me and the dudes from the Renegade Report. Like, how did you imagine this ending well for you? I don't know.
But then the thing is that the rule has to be after every like round, you have to either take like a hit of weed or a shot, and then just see what happens after 5 rounds. All right. So last thing to leave you with, if you haven't heard of it before, chess boxing is a thing. Chess boxing combines the mental gymnastics of chess and the physical gymnastics of boxing in timed rounds where participants will box and then will play chess for a minute and then box again. That sounds more like the sort of thing we would end up doing.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. And with that, we are out. Have an absolutely amazing weekend.